We're live.
Are we?
Yeah, we're live. Hey, welcome back. I'm Kevin Hauser, here with Andy Schechtman.
Who are you?
Well, that's my given name.
That's
tattoo.
you got to fix it. It's hanging. You're having a hard time.
I am.
Kevin.
It's been a rough day. It's been a rough day. Hello, welcome back. I'm Kevin Hauser with Miles Franklin. With me, of course, is the host of all hosts, Mr. Andrew Schechtman.
Good to be
How are
here,
you?
Kevin.
Crazy day today.
Look, I want to let's just all put political beliefs aside and say a prayer for Charlie Kirk's family. You know, there's just insanity in this country. And the video that I saw, I don't think I'll ever forget.
Yep.
Ever, as long as I live. A guy shot in the neck in front of millions of people, and he's now gone. So.
And with that being said, I mean, I don't care whether or not you're on the left or you're on the right. I think that everyone needs to know, first and foremost, this was a husband and a father, a family man, and I think that's the most important thing. So nobody should be happy.
You know, the thing that really
situation
bothers me, Kevin, more than anything is this country was founded upon freedom of expression, freedom of speech. What makes this country great, is the ability to have an open discourse on things. A lot of the things that I talk about, a lot of people don't agree with.
Yeah.
But, you know, the ability to listen to other people's arguments makes us grow. If we don't, we learn more and more about less and less till we know everything about nothing. And to take it to this level, it's a sad day in this country, truly a sad day. And I just thought it was appropriate to say something along those lines because, I don't know, this is not what this country is all about. And
it shouldn't be. I mean, without a doubt, it shouldn't be. And there should be nobody that should be happy today about this. There should be justice that will come to this. And my just heartfelt, deepest condolences to Charlie Kirk's family and to everybody who was watching this tragic event today.
Yeah, it's awful, truly, that this happens in this country. Anyways, let's move on.
Moving on. I mean, it's been a little bit of a wild week. We've seen a whole bunch of stuff going on. We've seen market gyrations. We've seen movements. We've seen unemployment numbers, and we've seen retractions of numbers, and we've seen metals once again, gold hitting an absolute all-time new high. Thrilling to see this happen. I mean, we're just getting closer and closer. I think there was one of my clients who actually made me a bet. I don't remember what the bet was. She told me that I said it would be close to 4,000 by the year end. I don't think I'm that off.
I think it will be 4,000 by the year end. In fact, if I had to guess, it will probably be 4,000, maybe even shortly before, like in the near future. Look, Goldman Sachs said 4,200 is their base case for next year, but 5,000 if the market even gets whiffs of the Federal Reserve losing its independence. The Fed is losing its independence just by the addition of Stephen Miran, who is the author of the Mar-a-Lago Accord, who is a Trump bobo, so to speak.
Yeah.
On the Federal Reserve Board.
Wait, is that the one?
Are you going to come say hi?
You know what? I think we have a special guest
Come
tonight.
say hi. Just wave. Everyone wants to.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest with us tonight. Here she is.
Apparently, I am.
All right. Welcome, Michelle McCory, to the studio.
She's not mic'd, but she just wants to wave and say hi. She really is a real person.
No, you're in the frame. Now we're together in the frame.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think, yes. There we go.
Wonderful. Look at that. Wow.
I'm not mic'd, but otherwise I would contribute to this conversation. I'm giving Victor a hard time because now he's like, how am I going to frame this shot?
No, he's doing a great job. Look at this. I mean,
nice job.
You look great. Michelle, you look wonderful as always.
Your glow is rubbing off on me.
Oh, you know, listen.
Look at Kevin's blushing.
I'm blushing.
He's
right.
blushing.
And
oh my
God.
God.
My vest.
Look at you.
My vest. I know.
You're blushing.
It's not that often outside of my wife that I get to stand next to beautiful women.
Or
sit.
I'm squatting to be on your level.
Well, listen, it's always wonderful to have you in the studio. You look lovely, and I'm sure we're going to have you on here. If Victor can get us all together in this, we'll have the stool, we'll have everything ready for you.
We will do
because I know
with Q&A.
all of these.
I
That would be
promise you
great.
that.
I would love to
I'm
do
telling you,
that.
all of these questions right now going forward are not going to be toward, definitely not me, and probably not Andy. It's now going to be geared to you. So maybe
Well,
next week we can. Next week. Yeah, I'll still be here next week. I'm going away for a little bit, but we should.
We will have a special Q&A
just stunning,
at some time.
Michelle. Stunning.
All right.
Thank you, Michelle.
Wonderful.
She
Any questions
really
that you
does.
guys have, by the
She
way,
really is
for
real.
Michelle, in particular, please info@milesfranklin.com. We will have Michelle answer them live for you when she is on with us.
All right.
How about that?
Agree to that.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
I'll agree to
She agrees to it.
She agrees to it.
Thank you,
right?
Michelle.
Very persuasive, right?
I've been trying to get my wife to come on, but every
She's
time
not
she
wearing
says
lipstick.
I am not wearing
Yeah.
lipstick, I think she might have. Has she? Have you left? Yeah, she left.
She left.
She's gone.
So I don't know where we were, but I think we were, yes, gold, I think without a doubt, 4,000 plus. You were talking about Goldman Sachs, their base case. Clearly, I agree.
5,000 if the market sniffs independence lost by the Fed. They have lost independence. They're telling you, they're dropping crumbs that we're going to see 5,000.
So you know what I woke up this morning to? I woke up this morning to turning on the TV. Actually, I didn't turn on the TV because the storm hit. I didn't have cable on it in a minute, so I didn't have TV. I woke up to going online on my phone and seeing that Oracle, we're talking about at the time before today's session, was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of around a $750 billion, $800 billion market cap, was up 30%. 30% today on what they said was a potential, I guess, their outlook, their forecast for certain things. You know, it's one of the things that I talk to you about all the time, that these mega capitalized companies, they're not designed to move 30% in a day. Now, mind you, this was not, they didn't cure cancer. They didn't even come out with any numbers that were mind-blowing. It was a forecasted event that they said could be substantially greater, whether it's AI, whatever the case may be, 30%. Would you think that's a little excessive to be moving in a
Just
market
a little
like that?
bit? Yes, I would. As
Which
a matter
is
of
which is
fact.
again why I think that we both agree that to say that the market potentially is a little bit frothy is maybe a little bit of an understatement. I think that there are definitely pockets in the market where you could find value, but I think if we look at it again and we see why the Oracle himself, no pun intended, Warren Buffett, is sitting in what, 600-700 billion in cash
I
right
think
about
it's
now?
a little less than that, but it's an awful lot.
450, whatever it
500
is.
million or billion or whatever. Who's counting?
I tend to believe it's because he's having a hard time finding value.
Right.
So
It's true.
yeah. So, but let's get back to not the equity markets. Let's get back to what we're here for, some Q&As. Unless you have something that you wanted to shed light on, we can start with some questions.
Let's take some questions.
All right, let's see what we got here. John, I didn't have this. Let's see. I got a great Alan Ritter. I loved the text. Loved it. Loved the picture. Showed it to Andy. I had to pick him off the floor. He was laughing. So I appreciate that. All right, let's go. Someone wants you to buy me a silver vest.
A silver vest made
yeah.
of silver coins.
That maybe not. I don't know how good that would look. It might be a little Liberace.
Look, I gotta just simply tell you. I mean, I've never met anyone in my life who's got more vests than you do.
I have a couple,
but I mean, you wear it well for sure. I don't know.
I appreciate
You're
that.
a handsome guy.
I think
you were blushing there with Michelle next to you. I got to tell you, like,
beautiful
bright,
woman. I
bright
mean, you know,
red.
I'm in the presence of greatness.
Yes.
I blush the same way as when I stand next to you. No,
Oh, that's sweet of you.
don't I? Didn't
No.
that when we were?
Yeah.
I missed that one. Oh, the color of my vest matched the blush
your
on my
face,
cheeks.
Yeah, the face. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
right. All right, let's get that. We have, generally Jana runs through the comments for the questions and puts them aside instead of just the comments.
Right.
So I'm going through them. So if there's something that you want to talk about, I'm going to kind of star them as we go across.
Okay. Well, you got my computer there, so I can't see.
You can't see what? What do I need?
My computer has StreamYard on it. This one, I can't see what the questions
No,
are.
you don't need to. You just need to talk about whatever you wanted to bring up, not including the questions.
Oh, okay.
I'll
I'll
do
do that
something
as
that
we go
happens.
along. Yep.
That. All right, we already did. We spoke about Charlie Kirk. All right, here we go. First question out there. Let's show it. All right. So Kevin DeBella says, hey guys, what happens if the paper market or the LBMA fails to deliver? Will dealer sales seize up? It's a good question. We get asked that a lot. So there you go.
Well,
Enjoy.
I mean, it would be more along the lines of the COMEX, Kevin, that would seize things up because dealers like myself hedge their positions on the COMEX. The LBMA, I think, would signal that things are getting very, very, very real. Look, the LBMA has less than 1 day's worth of trading of silver in the free float. Yet, according to David Jensen, an amazing, and someone we got to get on the show.
I agree. An unbelievable writer.
Yeah,
Love him.
and he talks a lot about what's going on at the LBMA. He says they're trading upwards ends of 1.9 billion ounces a day because they only post the final settlement numbers in London. This is insanity. And so could you see it happen in London? I think you could see it happen in London much faster than you would see it happen here on COMEX. My feeling is that they would change the rules the way they did with the Hunt brothers on COMEX. But what you would see if there was a failure to deliver in London would be an immediate escalation in price to the nth degree. So that to me is a possibility, far more than it is the COMEX blowing up. Of course, the the consequences of that happening in London would probably find its way to the COMEX because a lot of these trades would be things like short on COMEX paper, long in London physical, or vice versa. And so there would be contagion for sure that would probably find its way to the COMEX. It would be massively disrupting and probably push the price parabolic.
Next, we have John wants to know, do you have any COMEX inventory numbers and delivery numbers for this week or not yet?
I only have it for last week, I believe. I don't, let's see. Last week, this would have been, I'm pretty sure, through, I don't know what, let me look at my note. I think this was through the end of last week, that there had been 3,626 gold contracts issued, reissued, and stopped. That basically means that have posted for delivery. Impressive, very much so for a non-scheduled delivery month. At 3,626 contracts, let's do the math. 3626 times 100 times, what's gold now, 3650?
3650. Yep.
1,323,490,000. Even more striking was the 10,600 silver contracts. And that was again through the first week of the month. 10,600 times 5,000 equals 53 million times, that's a lot of silver, times $42. Let's call it.
That's a lot of weight.
That is $2,226,000,000 worth of silver. This is the same stuff we're seeing every single month. And the interesting thing is that why would this not be covered by the financial media is really crazy to me. It doesn't mean when these things are delivered that it's leaving. In fact, the eligible stockpiles at the COMEX are really high. Eligible being, well, they may not, they're eligible to be sold, but they're not up for sale, which is registered. They're massive. So a lot of it's leaving, a lot of it isn't. But the fact that it's coming in to this degree every single month is it's an
shocking,
anomaly.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that, though. Why aren't the mainstream media talking about it? Which I think is what the next comment or question that Vincent asks. He says, why do people in ancient times understand the value of gold and silver so much, while modern society, so sorry for the society. Oh, that was okay. Did you just break it?
I almost put my foot through the wall.
You did. I'll repeat. Vincent wants to know, why do people in ancient times understand the value of gold and silver so much, while modern society with advanced technologies are almost clueless of gold and silver's value? It's a great question.
It is. It's I don't know. It's just the indoctrination. Look, when you have a system that is based upon a fiat system that is based upon the issuance of copious amounts of currency units, Gold is the antithesis to the system.
Correct.
And the insiders have known this, the central planners have known this for a very long time. So, look, I mean, you look at a bank like Wells Fargo that gained its prominence carrying gold. You know, by Stagecoach. You bring a gold coin into Wells Fargo, they'd laugh at you. So we've gone far away. You know, silver was taken out of the money completely in 1969 when the half dollars were prior to 64, from 64 and earlier, all the dimes and quarters and half dollars were 90% silver. From 65 to 69, they were 40% silver, and then nothing. The silver dollars. After 1936, silver dollars had no silver in them. These were the peace dollars. The
Correct.
Eisenhower dollars that you would get from grandpa and grandma, maybe, you know, for Christmas or whatever, those are not silver.
Which they still call it silver dollars, but contain the silver.
Right. And you look at the $1 gold coins, the Sacagawea and some of these others, and it's ironic they were painted gold. And I get once every blue moon, I'll get a call from someone who says, I just found all these gold coins, and they're the $1 gold coins that are painted. I used to give those to my kids. The tooth fairy would come by and put those under their pillow when.
Did you ever tell your kids they weren't real gold?
Well, they figured it out eventually. But they've done, even when you look at Bitcoin, it's a gold coin.
Of course.
Right. And so
digital gold.
Digital
that's what they
gold.
do, but it's, you know.
So people understand its value from a standpoint, an arbitrary value, but it's disassociated with money.
You know, I think that when we
just don't get
got off the gold standard, I think it was kind of pushed by the wayside. It was, like you said, it became a completely fiat-based currency system where silver and gold were no longer integral in the financial world, for that matter. And that's where everyone, I don't want to just say lost interest, but I think a lot of interest was certainly lost, because prior to that, everyone that owned dollars owned gold. They were fungible. So, you know, you can interchange one for the other at any point in time. You can go into a bank, like you said, with dollars, exchange it for gold, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, I mean, you walk into a bank with a gold coin,
now
she'll think you're looking for $50 for
you
a 1 ounce eagle.
You want to talk about a dichotomy in culture. In China, gold has been money for thousands of years. You walk into a mall in China, and 80% of the stores are selling and buying gold.
Yeah.
All you ever see here in the United States is we'll buy your gold, you know, nothing about we'll sell you gold.
Cash for gold. That's
cash
it.
for gold.
Right.
That's it. You know, sell us your jewelry, we'll pay you cash.
That's right.
I think people understand, certainly, you know, gold medals and gold standard, and, you know, people get that gold is worth money and that it's valuable, but it has been taken out of the vernacular. Like that word, vernacular?
I do. I like you.
Integral was a good one too.
Thank you.
It's easy to stumble on that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
is it as good as the two that we use? Our friend the Wizard uses very often.
Probably not. But speaking of the Wizard, by the way, real quick before I finish that thought, and I want the Wizard. I want to remind me to finish my thought about the Wizard. But I do think that it's been taken out of the vernacular. And if you look at all the television stations, newspapers, any media, magazines, you name it, radio stations, they're all owned by 3 or 4 companies who have filtered down the information. I remember vividly when gold finally broke through 400. I mean, I've been doing this for 35, almost 36 years, and my God, it's finally broke through 400. And I mentioned this, I think, to you last week or the week before, when I had my first bonus that I can remember. You know, I'm young at this time, and I'm maybe the bonus was $35,000 or something. It was a big one. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. My dad says, put it all into gold. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? At $500 an ounce?
Sorry, YouTube.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
At $500 an ounce, are you serious? And he's absolutely. And so I've been through the ringer with gold, right? And I've seen it from $252 all the way up. But if you would have told me, I mean, after all of the years it took to get through 400, that it would be at 3,600, 9 times higher, and nobody knows about it, I'd say you're out of your damn mind.
You know, it's funny. So I had a client's daughter called me this week and said, you know, I want you to actually explain to her husband why gold's important and metals are important. And it was not so much about wealth or investment. To me, it was more about the explanation of the most important thing for me, which is the purchasing power.
Yeah.
And we went over what, you know, I said, if we look back in 1950 and we take an average price of a home, which at that time was around $7,500. And the average price of gold was about $35 an ounce. It would have taken you just about 210 ounces to purchase the home. And today, you take the average home price, which is about $411,000, give or take a couple of bucks. It would take you about 126 ounces of gold. So if you still had the 210 ounces of gold from 1950, and you now have it in 2025, not only are you getting that average price home, but you still have 86 ounces or another $250,000 in fiat currency that you've banked. So that's really, I think, the importance of what it is versus what we're having to deal with the fiat currency.
Well,
in
we
today's
can even
economic
bring it home
environment.
closer. 2005, we talked about this a few weeks ago. The price of a home was average price was $220,000. Gold was $450. So what is 220,000 divided by 400? It was 240. 240 divided by
400.
240,000 divided by 450 is 533 ounces of gold. Today, the average price is about 420-ish. So the house is about doubled, or the dollar has lost half of its value against that real estate.
Correct.
The 533 ounces of gold is worth almost $2 million. So it buys you 5 houses.
Correct.
So gold retains its purchasing power in the face of a declining currency. And if you look at what the stated objective is of this administration, whether it be Stephen Mirren, who is now on the Federal Reserve Board, whose whole thesis, the Mar-a-Lago Accord, is to devalue the dollar, or everything I've been talking about. And there's a Russian foreign finance minister who came out and did a video on this. It's all over YouTube. I would ask Michelle to come in here and tell me what it was, because we just talked about it. But it's almost like Mark Z sent me a text. He's like, I think this guy's been watching your videos. And I laughed. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I don't think I can. Here it is. He says, I think this guy's been watching your videos. I don't know where it is. I'm sorry. But anyways, the point of it is this guy basically said the exact same thing that I've been saying, that they're going to devalue the dollar. They're going to push everyone into the cloud using the Stablecoin Act, and they'll devalue the dollar by revaluing gold. They understand what's coming. I truly just believe that we are at the period of time, honest to God, Kevin, that if you save your money in dollars, you will go broke. And that is the stated goal of this administration, is to devalue the dollar in order to not only pay off the debt, but also to bring back manufacturing. You must have a massively devalued dollar. You will see, I believe, a soft default on the World Reserve standard in order to do that. And this is the time to be a contrarian right now. It truly is. Well,
with that being said, I wanted to just bring up the next one real quick for you. And I know that you wanted to bring something. Did you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, the wizard. The wizard is someone that I want to come and sit next to you as well, and maybe even have him interview us. He's an extraordinary guy who has an extraordinary background.
Yeah.
One that I think people would really enjoy.
He's quite a character.
He's a character, and he actually worked at Stratton Oakmont. Why don't you tell people a little bit about Stratton Oakmont?
You know what?
Mind you, he left before, when he found out that it was nefarious, he left. This is not an indictment of him, but his stories about being there and learning what it was about are worth knowing.
So, it's a good point that you bring up, because I think that for a lot of the listeners that listen to our Q&As and listen to you and a lot of the other interviews you do, when we talk about those other dealers, those dubious dealers that
dubious,
that are not treating clients the way they should be treated and buying metals properly for them, I equate it to the same type of business model as the Stratton Oakmonts or those A.R. Barons back in the day in the early 90s and 2000s. These brokerage firms existed where they were doing initial public offerings of companies that really weren't, much of businesses, and they would go public at usually $5, and they would skyrocket up to 10, 15, 20, and all the good old boys would get out at 15 and 20, and all mom and pop suckers were the ones that were buying it at 15 and 20, and then the shoe dropped and everyone was left with nothing. A little different in the metals business, except for the fact that people are buying just regular metal with what they're told is a fancy name or investment grade on it, which it's not, and paying 2-3 times what it really should be sold for. That's the same type of business model that we're referring to. He is an extraordinary individual. I think that everyone would really enjoy him coming on the show, and I would love.
By the way, Stratton Oakmont was the Wolf of Wall
The
Street.
Wolf of Wall Street,
Now, I
correct.
got to tell you, I just got a text. This is and you just got a text too.
Okay.
Read the text that you just got from my wife. Obviously, they're listening.
Okay. Oh my God, this is great. All right, so I asked Andy if he ever told his kids that they were not gold coins. And I got a text from Andy's wife that just said, "Oh my God, Lola thought it was real gold coins that the Tooth Fairy was leaving, and you just blew it." There you go.
Sorry, Lola. I love you, honey.
So enjoy the Sacagawea.
Yeah.
Painted gold coin. I love it. Here we go. Let's get back, and then we can come back to this.
Eric Gelfand is watching.
Is he watching?
The Wiz is watching.
Get out of here.
He says, "Say when, Tatala."
There you go.
Wiz, you're watching. We love you.
We love you. Yeah. We could do it next week. We could do it on Monday before I go to New York.
He's watching because we always say that he's an extraordinary guy, don't we?
Tatala. Shots.
What does it all mean?
What does it all mean?
We're all
That's it. We're gonna find out, by the way, when Eric comes on, what it all means.
Yeah.
We'll find out. So Tom's Acoustic Covers wants to know, what are our thoughts on any corrections in gold and silver in the coming few months? Now, before you answer it, what does that article title read?
Stop worrying about a correction in precious metals. Well, I think this is a question specifically for you.
I just think that everybody is so gung-ho on the fact that metals have moved. Ooh, that thing is just... metals, I know.
Take it out.
Victor, you don't need me.
Victor, you don't need us.
I think people are so gung-ho and dead set on the fact that metals have moved 40% over the last year, or roughly 40%, and that it's overbought. Can't be. So I question, Oracle moved 30% today. Is it overbought? Palantir has moved, I don't even know what the percentage is, from 10 to 190. I don't know what's that, 1900%? Overbought? Was it overbought at 50%? At 100%? What is it that makes silver and gold so overbought from the mainstream that they want to pick on the little guy, basically, I believe, which is the silver and gold market? So he goes on to say that it's a lot about charting, and it does go into fundamentals, which, again, I think right now fundamentals are probably the most important thing. But from a technical standpoint, both look absolutely sensational. I mean, they are absolutely on a breakout that we haven't seen almost ever. Go, because I'm going to find what they say. All I'm going to
say is that all the years I've done this, when gold would move up the way that it's been moving up, it gets beat up really bad. It gets stepped on and it never comes back. For the last 2 years, we've seen, really in particular the last year, but for the last 2 years, we've seen corrections that are very brief. They may be violent at first, but the thing is that when you're at $3,600, 2% is $75, right? So it seems like a lot, but it's only 2%. But the corrections are very brief and they come right back up. There is a floor underneath the price of gold. It is called the central bank buying. They're buying it at levels no one has ever seen. But when you look at the amount of gold that's coming into this country every single month, billions upon billions upon billions, those numbers that I read, the amount of metal that's come in essence, almost $4 billion worth of gold and silver was in the first week of the month. This has been, and that would, it's probably going to end up being 2 to 3 times that amount by the end of the month. This is a non-delivery month for gold at the same time, but we have seen record month over month over month over month. The level of sophistication that it takes to bring this metal in through COMEX is extraordinary, as is the amount of money. The people who dance in these circles, the people who have this kind of bread that are buying billions of dollars worth every month, are closest to the information. It's the same thing that the central banks are doing. But I want to make one point. Trump is talking about lowering interest rates, and even though the federal funds rate that the Fed would lower has no bearing on the 10-year Treasury, and we're seeing that same thing unfold in the UK right now, where they've had 7 drops on the federal funds rate on their end of things, the short-term yield on the bond market in the UK. Yet their 30-year Treasury is damn well near all-time highs. The market is saying no, we're going to go the other way. But let's just pretend he is able to bring down the 10-year Treasury, and he's able to bring it down, like he says, he wants to bring it down by 200 to 300 basis points. So let's put the 10-year Treasury at 2%. What does the CPI, or I call it the CP lie from the BS, the bullshit, I mean the Bureau of Labor Statistics,
Yeah.
What do they say inflation is right now? Almost 3%, 2.5%. John Williams of shadowstats.com, who just measures the inflation rate the way they used to do it and the unemployment rate the way they used to do it under previous administrations.
Without cutting out all the things that they don't want to be shown in that. Right.
He'd say it's 11%, and that's the way it would be under the Carter administration, and up to the Reagan, it would be 11%. But let's just use their own lying numbers and call it 2.5%. So you drop rates down to 2%, and I'll tell you one thing, I can promise you that the ultra wealthy people will not accept a real negative rate of return in your face. Now, it's one thing when that negative rate of return is blurred by BS numbers out of the BLS, right? Where they're lying about the real stated rate of inflation and saying, well, inflation's at 2.5% when we know it's at 11. So, a yield of 4% still gives you 1.5% real yield, even though we know that's not true. If they lower the rates below, the inflation rate, the big money is to say, the hell with
3%, right?
What the hell am I going to give you money for a guaranteed loss, a guaranteed real rate of return of negative? And they're going to bail. And that's why Goldman Sachs is saying that if there is even a hint of the Fed losing its independence, you will see $5,000 gold like that.
Which you'll be, I think, proud of me in the fact of doing my research.
Way to go, Tattoo.
Could a second wave of inflation push gold to 10,000 an ounce? And this article over the weekend was talking about second waves of inflation. So when we look at between April of 1978 and April of 1980, price of gold rallied from $179.40 to $501.50. It's a 280% return. It coincides with the second wave of inflation that struck at the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s in an era that was defined by the U.S. with stagflation. Now,
that's where we are right now.
That's right. We already heard that J.P. Morgan had said that it was a possibility that we could be in for a state of stagflation as we go forward.
Well, what's happened? Hold your thought. What did we just see yesterday? They came in and revised the numbers down by 900,000 jobs.
900,000. By the way, let's just 900,000. Like, I understand that maybe if it was 90, 900, 900,000 is a inordinate amount of error to have been made.
Right.
I mean, you can't make errors like that.
And they did 500, and that was from April to April, I believe. April last year to April this year, and now they did it in June and May and June, I believe, or June and July, of about 600,000. In other words, all of these jobs that they say were created that boosted the market, that made everyone make decisions based upon a strong labor market, it was all fugazi. You like that, right?
Fugazi. That's it.
And so the revisions that are most people don't notice, they still think that it's a strong labor market. It is anything but a strong labor market. And so you are in essence lowering rates into a weak labor market, which stimulates inflation again. Stagflation is a time characterized by rising prices and little or no economic growth. And the interesting thing is, and I don't have the numbers here in front of me, maybe I do. Let me just look real quick, because if I do, it's very interesting. I think I might. Hang on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Here's the BOE. The BOE cut 5 times and ended up with a 27-year high on rates. Could that be could that be? Here it is. U.S. employment, blah, 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 no, shit, I don't have it there. I don't think I have it. Well, that's neither here nor there. But the bottom line is that we are lowering rates into a weakening labor market. So you have what in essence is a repeat of the 70s style stagflation. It's the worst possible outcome, little or no economic growth,
Correct.
Rising prices. But what I wanted to say is that the numbers of, and they keep track of this, of part-time jobs went way up in this last
Revisions.
well, not even the revisions, it was just in the numbers. Part-time jobs went way up, full-time jobs went way
All
down.
Right.
Natural born citizens, their employment went down. People who were in this country as immigrants, their jobs went way up, and the number of people working multiple jobs went way up. All of this the BIS calculates. Now, I had the numbers somewhere. I don't even have my glasses on, so I'm not going to look and try
Do you
to
have
find
glasses or no? How do you never have your glasses?
I don't know. I can still see a little bit without it.
You need mine?
No.
Okay.
But that's the point, is that, you know, what you're seeing is an economy that is slowing, job growth that is slowing, people working multiple jobs in order to make ends meet.
Yeah.
It's a crazy time.
But if we take that same performance from 78 to 80, and we look at it today, the same type of potential inflation that we're looking at, a repeat of that 2-year performance from the late 70s would take our price today of $36.50 to $10,220. Same percentage return from gold that we saw in that 2-year period would take us from $36.50 to $10,220.
Yeah.
So those are staggering numbers. And by the way, like you said, as we get higher and higher with metal prices, whether it's gold and silver, like you said, $36.50, 2%. It's not that's nothing.
No.
It's $75.
Right.
It's a $75 move. The higher we go, the less and less it takes to move it up even greater.
Yeah.
So
here are these numbers. Let me just read. I found it. It says, but to get to the ugliest component of today's jobs report was the number of full-time jobs tumbled by 357,000, the second consecutive month of sharp full-time job losses, while part-time jobs surged by 597,000, the biggest increase since February. It gets worse. After making some modest improvements in recent months, the number of native-born workers tumbled by 561,000 to 132.474 million. This was the biggest drop since August 24. At the same time, foreign-born workers increased by 50,000, the largest increase since March. The number of multiple job holders unexpectedly soared by over 443,000 to 8.785 million. This was the biggest monthly increase since COVID, and clearly yet another indication of just how bad the jobs reports are. It's crazy when you realize that the market, which is so short-term oriented, they don't do anything in terms of a long-term outlook. They are so reactionary based on these numbers, only to find out, sorry, we were really lying about all of those numbers.
Yeah.
And the market doesn't quite react the way it did when the numbers originally came out.
So we kind of got off track there a little bit, but I always appreciate everything that you said, but we have to get back to some questions because we are the Q&A.
Oh,
but we're just going on the A. We need some of the Q's. But
okay,
let's just get back to it. There's a couple here. Bullish 369. Can we talk about the current buyback rates on silver? They're terrible. They're terrible. But what I will tell you is you are in probably one of the best market for a buyer's market that you can have. We're in a rising spot environment where things are moving the way that we think that they should have been for quite some time. And we still have premiums that are extremely low.
Why is it rising?
Why is the spot market rising?
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about it right now.
But why? Who's buying it?
The central banks are buying it. All the institutions, the big banks.
The people with the information.
That's right. The little guys like you and I, it's like everything else. We're the last to know. We're not the last to know. We've been knowing. We buy every 2 weeks. But for the most part, the little guy doesn't know.
Right.
And I do think, though, even though that the premiums might not reflect it yet, which I'm happy about because it gives us the ability to continue to buy the way that we do. But I do think that more of the little guy is learning. I do. I kind of feel it. I'm getting some information from clients, potential clients that are calling in, inquiring about things that ordinarily they wouldn't, about people that are liquidating portions of their stock portfolio because they feel like now they have a little bit too much overweight in equities, are now looking and hearing, maybe not from mainstream, but from other news sources like yourself, the importance of having metals. I think that there are other financial advisors out there, even though they might not do so for their clients, like Russ, who wonderful guy, great financial advisor. He has been a believer, still a believer, and thinks that every single one of his clients should have a certain portion in metals. And he absolutely is emphatic about it. And that's what I think is happening
Question
here.
is, does Russ have any metals?
Russ does. Wait, different Russ. I'm talking about Stone.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Russ owns, my brother-in-law Russ is more, he owns, I think, the paper metals.
Yeah.
Why?
And he's a whale at one of the big Morgan Stanley.
And
he's
I
a
think
whale.
we really need to, and it's not from a business standpoint. I think just from a standpoint of, listen, this is my brother-in-law. It's one of your very, very close friends. He's an extremely intelligent person. You would think that he would be somewhat hedged because, again, when we talk about metals, it is. I like to believe that metals is, in essence, a hedge against your other assets.
Is it is or are? I think it's R.
Metals are.
Yes.
Get it corrected all the time tonight. It's just maybe that's the wrong color vest. I don't know. Metals are a hedge against your other assets in your portfolio, and I think people fail to see that. And I think that it's a very important thing.
Well,
you take a small percentage, hedge it against a much larger one. If we're wrong, you still have all your other assets.
Most financial advisors.
The wizard.
He says Russ owns white gold. Now that is funny.
That is
oh my
funny.
God, is that funny?
That is good.
Wizard, I love you, baby. He's one of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my life.
Great.
Honest to God, and funny as they come. In fact, I just forgot what I was going to say. It's so funny. What was I going to say?
Well, you said white gold, and I lost it all right there.
It's so funny. I was going to say something. I don't remember.
I don't either because it didn't come out of your mouth.
It was a late night last night.
It was, but I was actually even later. But we'll go on to another question. You'll probably remember it as I ask another question.
White gold. That's
does
funny.
Miles Franklin ship bullion to the United Kingdom? We do not. We can ship metals here stateside, and we actually also have the ability of, if any of our Canadian clients need metal, we can facilitate that for you as well.
I shipped a large amount of gold to the UK a few years ago. The box made it through customs. When it was delivered, it was empty. And Scotland Yard got involved, and it was one of the biggest losses that one of the largest distributors in North America has ever had. So yeah, we don't deliver to into the UK any longer. Yeah. I wish we could do so, but
it's just it's a negative Ghost Rider. That pattern is full. That's it. It's just a little.
Wow, that was good.
A Top Gun. Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to buzz the tower though.
Negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. I don't know why the.
It's still Russ owns white gold might be the funniest. So we can't even go into it.
We can't. But I don't know why this is
that good.
Oh, let me get that off. Okay. TJ Her wants to know, if I buy from you, will you buy it back when he's ready to sell? Absolutely. We buy back at current market. We can't tell you what, of course, spot is at the time. Whatever the spot market is, plus or minus the premium at the time.
Let me just preempt that and say any company that doesn't buy it back, you should never do business with them. And it's usually the crooked companies who don't have a buyback policy.
That is definitely
any company that will not guarantee a two-way market, you should never, ever, ever do business with.
I definitely agree with that.
I'm still laughing, man. That's just beautiful.
He's an baby IU. Yeah. Zach Ryan says, Andy, what does silver look like at the end of 25? I didn't ask him to say this, but you know that because you never gave a number. I still publicly came out here and said that I personally believe that we could see 60 by year end. Wow. I still stand by that.
Well, that's aggressive.
Well, you know what that says.
Why silver may hit 50 plus in September.
That's this month. I didn't write this, by the way.
How do you like that I can see that without glasses?
Could you?
You couldn't. No.
Can't see. I'm lucky I could see.
I don't know, man. Look, let's just talk turkey here. We got gold at 36.50. Let's divide it by 70, which would be way, 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 way higher than the gold silver ratio has averaged my entire 36-year career. In fact, way, way higher on average than it's averaged for the past 5,000 years. At a 70-to-1 ratio, silver's at 52.
And what is it at 60?
It's averaged about 45 to 50 for the last 100 years, the
Mhm.
ratio, even though it's coming out of the ground at
Right now, 7-1.
nice
Used
job,
to be 16 to 1, but
7-1.
we're
That's
7 to 1.
correct.
Yeah.
So 3650 divided by 50 is $73. 3650 divided by 7, pie in the sky, $521. That is the current geologic ratio between gold and silver. 100%, and it's depleting downward from there.
So I say, we're talking about an asset that, as you always stated, is probably the most undervalued asset that exists on planet Earth today. I think I asked you this once. What other item, what other material can we discuss that we are using more than we've ever used before? We're getting less of it than we ever had before, and it's still trading under the price it was 45
I would
years ago.
also add, what other commodity has plurality in uses? Most commodities have one use.
Correct.
Or two at most. Silver has not only monetary uses, it
It's
has
the utility and a monetary
uses,
metal,
it
right?
has military uses, etc. So I was on a podcast with Chris Marcus a couple years ago during the pandemic. I'll never forget. I was driving around talking to him on my phone. He's like, "Can we just do a quick one?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he asked me that question, and I said,
It doesn't sound very good, by the way.
"Well,
What you just said.
what?
Can we just do a quick one?
Yeah, a quick." I'm
I'm glad that you
driving.
clarified
He's
that.
like,
Okay, I'm
we'll
glad
do
that
it
you
on the
clarified
phone.
that.
We'll do it on the
Yeah.
phone. So, and I said, I can't. I said, I made some comment like, I'll give anyone a, silver coin if they can tell me what is trading less than, other than silver and gold that we're using that's priced less than it was in 1980. And I had to end up giving someone
Cocoa
a
or
coin.
something?
Sugar.
Sugar.
I don't know if it still is, but a couple of years ago, it had a lower price than it did in 1980. Okay. But there is virtually nothing that you can think of, that is trading at a discount to its 1980 price.
Not only that, but I think that now if you were to take that a little bit differently and say we're using it now more than ever before, it probably takes sugar out of the equation, because we're probably using the same amount of sugar these days as we did back then. But silver, we have so many more useful utility for these days.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have solar back 45 years ago.
Right.
We didn't have the AI chips. We didn't have all these other industries.
We had photography, but that's been replaced by a lot of other things.
And X-ray and everything like that. But for the most part, these new industry, especially with photovoltaic, is substantially greater than it ever was before. And their industry is growing, 8 to 12% annually, not only here, but certainly in China is a much greater market. And then we have the EV vehicles, which the new Samsung solid state battery, huge,
1
way
kilo per. Yeah, you're
way
right.
more.
You're right.
So I think that's.
I think the easiest way to say it, it's an asset with expanding uses and depleting both above ground and below ground.
And we're running on a 5-year deficit still. This is going to be the 5th year running.
Over 1 billion ounces
That's
short.
Right. So, okay. Wayne LeMay says, Andy, just where does all the tons of gold come from that come into the exchanges? I think is what he said without the X.
Well, I mean, they're coming from other exchanges around the globe, whether it be direct disintermediation from the miners who produce it, or it's coming from the LBMA in London, it's coming from the Swiss refiners, it's coming from Singapore, it's coming from all across the globe. And originally, I think the genius of bringing all this gold back was that they tried to call it arbitrage due to the tariffs, that they could buy the gold in other parts of the world on other exchanges and sell it to the United States at a high premium because of the tariff threats. There was this big premium, this arbitrage. It's not coming back. It's not going back, but it's been coming from refineries and from mints, and also places like the LBMA. Primarily Switzerland and London have been the two main sources, but it's coming from wherever they can get it, where it's not nailed down, because to see the amount of gold that is coming in is unlike anything anyone's ever seen. At the same time, you could say the same thing about China, who for the 10th month in a row reported sales. They've been buying it forever, but 10th month in a row, they have talked about continued increase in their purchasing. Russia's doing it. Saudi Arabia is doing it. India is doing it. They're all doing it. At some point, the game ends when there's no more metal to be delivered at these stupid prices. That's part of the reason we're seeing the price continually go higher and higher, because of the demand at that level, which is very a contrarian indicator to the nth degree. The public has no idea what's going on, as the biggest money in the world is literally on a rush to accumulate the physical metal. And at the same time, you got the public all in the stock market, the greatest allocation on the retail public to the stock market ever, the largest amount of margin debt, the largest exposure to
All-time
options
highs again.
ever.
Yep.
As the institutionals have been selling roughly 2 to 4 billion a week since the beginning of the year, and you got Buffett on 500 million in cash, and the insiders at Nvidia selling, the 3 largest shareholder board members selling. You got Bezos selling almost 7 billion in Amazon since June 1st. So the big money is quietly tiptoeing out as the public is all in on equities and on margin and on option exposure. It's the opposite in physical metal. It's a contrarian indicator to the nth degree. And to me, those are the kind of things that typically precede big moves in either direction. So I would be scared as hell to be all in stocks right now. And I know a lot of people who are all in stocks won't really want to hear that and will poo-poo it. But when the biggest money's action is to quietly leave stage left, as the public who is always left holding the bag, nice. When they're running in, I would be leery. And at the same time, the public has very little exposure to the metal, and the biggest money in the world, which is doing it on sophisticated levels, is all in on gold and silver. It should tell you where things are going. And then look at President Trump saying, "He who has the gold makes the rules."
Right.
There's so many. Michelle and I just did a 2-hour interview and talked about. I know you. I talked about all of these things, but there's so many signals that are pointing to the biggest sophisticated money in the world reintegrating gold into the monetary system.
Yeah. Well, John wants to know what is the dollar amount of treasuries needed to be sold in the next 12 months, and who's going to purchase them?
I believe 7 trillion come due this year. 7 trillion. How the hell do you do that?
Who's buying them?
Well, that's the question. This is part of the reason they did the Genius Act, to create synthetic demand for treasuries. But when we have these treasuries due, that doesn't even take into account running the country. You look at things like defense, which are discretionary. We need to borrow money not only to pay back the money that we owe, but also to do things like fund our military, which, at some point the world pushes back and says, well,
We're not
and you want to lower rates?
Right.
And
you want us to invest in your country at rates even lower now, and your economy's in trouble,
and you're inflating, and you're going to police the world and bully the world
and weaponize with our dollar
through your military prowess. Yeah, and weaponize the dollar again. The whole thing, you can feel it teetering.
Yeah, well, we're already seeing. I mean, I think we talked a little bit about last week that India, a net seller of treasuries, went from 1.2 trillion down to about 800 billion, and that money, where'd it go?
In the gold. We've overplayed our hand with India in a big way.
Yeah.
India basically came out and said we won't be bullied into breaking our relationship with Russia, buying cheap oil and gas, and they are more or less, although straddling between the West and the BRICS nations, they more or less said that, Trump said India were their largest trading partner. So he put 50% tariffs on our friend, right? Which is stupid, because if you look under the covers, it only represents just about 2% of their GDP. They would be far better off not doing business in the United States and buying cheap energy and uniting with China and Russia, growing economies, than bowing down to the West. And this is the whole thing. It's not about cooperation. It's about coercion. And that's the mistake that is being made by this administration. And you can see the same thing is true with Saudi Arabia. They're straddling. Not only were they have they been admitted into BRICS and haven't fully accepted, but attend all of the meetings. They've joined the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the largest.
Breadcrumbs are on the floor there. You know where it's going.
They became full members of MBridge, which is the cross-border payment system that SWIFT is not compatible with. Out of 4 members, China, Hong Kong, Thailand, UAE, they became number 5. The Shanghai Metals Exchange is expanding their vaulting network so that They can trade the digital yuan around the globe for things and then settle imbalances in gold. The first one, as we talked about, is now done in Hong Kong. It's under construction now in Saudi Arabia, number 2. So as an example, China can buy oil from Saudi Arabia, pay for it in the yuan. Saudi Arabia can immediately convert it into gold, not going back into dollars, in yuan through the Shanghai Metals Exchange right now in Hong Kong, pretty soon in their own homeland. And so it's a system that is being built.
And then you and I talked about once about Russia potentially revaluing their own metals on their exchange. Didn't we talk about that? There was some conjecture about it.
Well, at some point you will see the exchanges, once they're all done, the St. Petersburg Exchange, the Moscow Exchange, the Dubai Exchange, the Shanghai Exchange, the BRICS Exchange.
No longer will be.
They will set the price rather than allow the West to do it. Because the West uses a rehypothecated, levered system that benefits the West, whereas most of the exchanges across the globe are cash and carry. They're not futures exchanges. So at some point, when all of these countries have purchased gold and silver to be the foundation of their system, the Western pricing mechanism will end up being obsolete unless you can deliver. If you can't deliver at those prices, what good is the price? It's make believe.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I want to do in the coming weeks is do just like a total workshop, metals terminology dummies. Let's just get it all out there, so that way when we do have our in-depth discussion, everybody out there knows what we're talking about. We can kind of cut it down, baby food, and get everybody into the know of what it is. Maybe we'll put some stuff even on the back on here. We'll figure out how to do it on one of the screens.
And tomorrow, I'd like to do that. We could do it. Let's do that. But tomorrow, I think we can maybe get together with the wizard and plan something out. I'd love to have him come here next week and
I think that'd be great.
And interview with us, and we'll tell his stories, and we'll see how good he is on TV.
We've been on for an hour, 56 minutes. It's actually, great turnout here. I am looking, though. It does look a little dark on my side, doesn't it? You look very bright and chipper, and I only look bright and chipper when Michelle was standing next to me.
You were so flippin' red, dude. It was unbelievable. She's a beautiful woman, and not only that, she's brilliant.
Yes, she is.
We're really, 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 truthfully, all kidding aside, we're very fortunate.
We certainly are.
Didi Mao, he says. We are very fortunate to have her here.
And I just to end, because I think it's a good way to end, because
that's what Didi Mao means is let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, well, listen, we're here, we talk about geopolitical, macroeconomic, everything like that, but at the end of the day, you do own and run a very successful precious metals company, and it's things like Wayne Faulkner says here. Andy, you have great deals on metals, 1/10 ounce gold, 4.9 purity maples or a steel. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the fact that people do know that not only we are very competitive.
He says you look like an Oompa Loompa. That's how red you are.
Those are fighting words. An Oompa Loompa is nothing to do with the color of my face, per se. Eric, we got problems.
We'll see how he does on TV next week.
Yeah, exactly. Remember,
he has to behave himself.
718. So just saying. But I think that'll be a fun show. But I do think that having a show where we really kind of go through everything that we talk about with spot, with premium, all the terms that people might not be familiar with, and then having you talk a little bit, very detailed but very rudimentary in explaining certain things.
I would love to do that. And I hope people get something, really get something out of this show that we do. I do all these shows all week long that are so, direct and serious and studious and whatever. This is a way for us to be ourselves a little bit more jovial.
And I will say this, Victor, camera on me here. Yeah, listen, if you only knew, if all of you out there only knew
the real Andy,
I kid you not. And when Eric comes on the show, he will vouch for me. He is by far the dumbest, smartest person I know and have ever met in my life. Hands down, brilliant. When he's sitting in the studio, when he's talking about business, when he's talking about the world as we know it, you will not find a smarter person. Trust me. When you take him out of that seat, all of that knowledge is left on the seat, and it
No,
leaves
it's
with
left
him.
in my brain. There's no more room. It's like
But
it's
that's
like
the only thing in
it's
his
like
brain.
pinballs bouncing
Yeah.
around in my head.
And by
you
the way,
know?
those pinballs, it shows.
My wife will say, "Why do you always leave the bedroom with your pants unzipped? Like you never leave. Every time you're walking out the door, I'm like, I don't know details.
So we play golf every weekend together, and without fail,
his tag is
Andrew
sticking
Sheckman
out.
walks up to the first tee. His zipper is down in the front, and the tag in the back of his shorts is sticking out of the back.
Oh, I see Eric
And most of
typing
the
right
time,
now.
there's a belt loop missing. Just saying.
These are
Most of the
details. These are details that
it's
you know.
the minutia.
It's the big picture.
It's the minutia for you, but for me, it's a quagmire.
Good one. That's a good one, Tattoo.
Well,
That's a
thank
good
you,
word.
sir. It's a quagmire of things that Andrew
A
Sheckman,
cornucopia.
or I should say, this one's for you, Josh Schechtman, does. But I kid you not, you guys literally have no idea how good of hands that you're in when we're talking about everything that we speak about here. When you're coming to us for medals, there's no one better in the industry than him.
God bless.
And God bless. I mean, there's a reason why you talk about people at Sprott and Rick Rule and all these big major people, Robert Kiyosaki. These are people that are the most intelligent, well-respected people probably on this planet, and they have Andy on his speed dial. So
Yeah,
I commend you for that.
Thank you. Honestly, we're good friends, Kevin,
Yeah.
you and I, and relationships make the world go round. And I've made a lot of good friends over the years, and I'm fortunate to call them all friends. And God
Absolutely.
bless, they've all helped me, and I hope I've helped them too. But it's nice of you to say those things. And even though I joke around here,
of course.
this is a very serious business, but life is too serious all the time to not find the bright side of it. That's one of the reasons I want to bring Eric in here, because I think he can show us real world stuff, real world experiences, and put a bright side to it as well. So
the one thing about Eric that I do love is no matter how doom and gloom anything is,
what does it all mean?
There is always a bright side.
Yeah.
What does it all mean? And I think that he can share that with all of us.
Put your big boy pants on, Eric. It's going to get real next week.
Yeah, that's for sure. And also the interview that we did 2 weeks ago, that actually came live with Eden. She posted it today.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, she posted it today. So we'll
Lovely
put that on.
lady,
We'll put that on our YouTube channel as well. With that being said, we were very late today. Andy had trouble cutting down his interview prior to our Q&A by about 2 to 3 hours. So we were a little late in starting, so I apologize. Alan Ritter, I appreciate for you getting the ball going.
Kevin, we have this glass window right here, and Kevin kept going like this, and I'm trying not to look at him.
I kept wanting to do, but I knew that it would come out on
Michelle would have cut
TV.
you.
Yeah, I know.
Michelle would have come out and cut you.
She cut a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, she like Tammy.
Yeah.
She cut a bitch.
Yeah.
But we're gonna end out for the night. I appreciate everyone stopping by. I thought tonight was actually good. We kind of got a bunch of stuff covered, and again, heartfelt condolences to the Kirk family. It's just a tragic ordeal, and I hope to God we find out later tonight or very, very soon that they bring the person who's responsible for this to justice.
It's a freaking joke, man.
Yeah. And
it is. How about differences of opinion, y'all? Differences of opinion and respectful differences of opinion.
And I got to tell you, really, at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was just a wonderful debater. He was there, and again, not to get political, but he was there to challenge. And I don't think there's anything wrong with a challenge. I think that's what makes us better, brighter. When someone challenges you, and to listen to an opposing opinion or position on something. I think he was wonderful at it. And
I'll tell you one thing, the video that I saw that I sent you,
beyond
that my daughter sent me from X, was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. Yep. I don't think I'll ever forget it. So yeah, God bless the family, 2 little kids and a beautiful wife. That just isn't what this country is about. We're sinking down to the depths of third world behavior when we do this stuff. So I don't know, not much we can say about that we haven't already.
No, absolutely not. So with that being said, as always, subscribe, smash that like button, tell your friends and family. We are out, and we will be back Monday with who we call the Wizard. And we appreciate you we appreciate you being with us tonight, We will see a week. Well, it's not going to be a week because we're doing it on Monday.
What day
We'll
is
do it on Monday.
Today's
Today's Wednesday.
Wow,
Monday.
God.
Monday we had a problem anyway because of the storms. But we will be back on Monday, most likely at around 5:00 Eastern.
Let me hang on real quick
Hold
before we
on.
do that. Let me just look at
Okay.
my schedule.
Remember, I leave Wednesday, so
Don't go, Kevin. I need a friend.
I know.
That'll work. I have us
Okay.
down at 5:00.
Perfect.
Q&A,
So-
Andy, and Tattoo,
And
and
now
Wizard.
the Wizard. Perfect. So we will be back Monday. As always, we appreciate you being with us tonight. And sorry for the late podcast. Again, Andy usually blames me for everything. Tonight, I blame Andy for everything. So farewell.
That
We
won't
will see you
serve
in a few
well,
days.
Let me tell you.
Nah, that's fine.
Bye, everybody.
Be well.